Hi, everyone, and welcome to this session today. Today, we will talk about how AI will change lives of management consultants. And for that, I have a very special guest. With me is Pavol. He is a former colleague and friend of mine. And I'm very glad that he found the time to join us today. And he's actually a former management consultant. And then he went out of consulting and founded an incredible startup called AskBrian. AskBrian is a virtual assistant based on RPA technology and a little bit of AI. Let's say, and makes life of management consultants much easier. I love the service, so I use it myself almost on a daily basis. And I'm glad to have Pavol with us today to talk a little bit about how AI will change the lives of management consultants and a little bit about what Brian can do for us. And I think this will be a very interesting discussion. So with that being said, welcome, Pavol.
Thank you, Johannes, for the great intro and for having me. I'm very much looking forward to our discussion too. Yeah, let's go into it.
Cool. Good. And Pavol, first and direct question. So what do you think, how will AI change the lives of management consultants?
So this is, of course, an exciting question. I don't know what the very far future will bring. I can say what's going on now and in the next 2-3 years. And we are shaping this development also ourselves with Brian and AskBrian. So as of now, already AI helps management consultants with recurring time-consuming tasks like translations, company analysis, and many more. And there will be much to come. That means I assume that every recurring task which follows a certain pattern and covers a certain universe will be automated or assisted by AI sooner or later. And in the future, it will be much, much more. And many of the tasks we have right now will be automated. But then I believe that we are entering a stage where AI will automate tasks which we don't really have on screen or which we would not expect that AI would automate. And it's nothing to be afraid of. I think this is important to say, but I think it's a good message because the job of management consultant is an amazing one. And the tasks AI will automate will make the job even cooler and more exciting.
Yeah. And I think, many people are afraid that or are discussing the question if AI will replace consultants. But, I think, and I totally agree with you, that this will not be the case. And I think it's pretty similar to what we had let's say 20 to 25 years ago. So I met consultants who, worked in a time where they had to, or where they received the annual reports of companies on paper, right?
And in paper, yeah.
I mean, they hired a bunch of analysts to go through those papers and write down the numbers in Excel because, this was a manual task. And, through all the databases and all the advanced analytics tools, I mean, the job of a management consultant wasn't replaced. It was rather, that the task shifted more to the problem solving part of that. So I think, this might be similar with AI in the future.
Definitely. So I would say also there have been maybe concerns when Excel came up. What will happen with consultants if you don't have to calculate the numbers in calculator and so on in PowerPoint? But I believe this made the jobs even having more impact on companies and on the future of companies. So I would say it's not replacing consultants. Maybe those consultants will have a difficult time which don't adapt to the new technologies, don't know them and don't know how to use them because they will be outdated. Yeah, so I think this is an important thought to mention. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's talk maybe a little bit about Brian or AskBrian. Okay, so maybe you can explain what the service actually does and how it helps management consultants.
Yeah, so I'm happy to talk, of course, about my digital son, digital baby. I've been in consulting for 15 years, also where I met Johannes, and I love the job. But from time to time, you have some tasks which you don't really enjoy to do, like translations and collecting of company information, searching for icons, slide graphics, and so on. And then end of 2017, I had the idea, what if we would have as consultants have access to kind of a tool which knows the best data sources, services, and so on, and helps you on a day-to-day basis in a very simple manner, that you don't need to install or learn anything, just an intuitive way. And this was the triggering point for Brian, which we created kind of a digital virtual person communicating in natural language and covering a growing number of skills. And we have, as of now, after now, I don't know, 4 years, we have more than 30 skills, recurring skills every consultant will know, like translation, converting of scanned documents into editable office formats, performing company analysis, peer analysis, providing templates, icons, pictures, and we are entering also a new era of skills also with a skill which we communicated in a press release this week, where we believe this is a milestone for consultants and AI support for consultants, where Brian starts to create qualitative content for consultants. But maybe in a later question more about this one.
Yeah, we will talk about automated content generation in a second. So maybe just to give the audience who haven't worked with Brian, just an image how it really works in reality. So it's very simple. Like I think you have several interfaces. I personally use email the most, but you also have Microsoft Teams. Exactly. Probably others as well. Yeah.
It's per default plug and play immediately. You can use Brian via email, like a really digital intern or working student, or via Microsoft Teams messaging. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very simple. You just write the task. So Brian kind of understands. You write just one sentence like translate or please translate if you want to be polite to Brian. So you just write, please translate, slides from English to, I don't know, Chinese or German, whatsoever. And you send a PDF and a PowerPoint file with it. And then after a couple of minutes, you get the translated version back. So it's really incredible.
Thank you very much, Johannes, for explaining it. It should be probably my job to do so, but I see you are a very active user of Brian and you can explain it very well.
Yeah, because the thing is, if we talk about if we talk about a bot, that supports you in your daily work, it's hard kind of, people who never experienced, working with such a tool, to kind of, understand how it works in real life. And maybe you can talk a little bit about maybe the three most popular services. So if you maybe go a little bit more into detail, how that works, what it actually does, maybe what kind of feedback or response you get from your customers.
Yeah, so happy to. So the number one skill and also the triggering one was the translation of PowerPoint documents. And as of now, 27% of all the requests Brian receives from his users, which are 70% are management consultants, are translation requests. It means no matter what document you have, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, or PDF, you just send it, receive it, translated to 100 languages within seconds or maximum 3 minutes, up to 20-25 megabytes. That means even larger documents get translated while keeping all the formatting, and this can save you hours of time. And usually these tasks came up always at a later in the evening or at night. So I think it's then especially great to receive a feedback like, Pavol, Brian saved my night again. Yeah, so and this is the best feedback we can receive. The second most popular skill is company analysis, where Brian provides also with this super simple interface like, hey, Brian, send me the analysis of Siemens. He provides excellent PowerPoint details about any of the publicly traded companies around the world, 50,000 of them from Thomson Reuters or Refinitiv, as well as for 4 million private companies from Germany and other countries. So, and for German companies, you get the annual reports of the last years as PDF and summarized in Excel. So you don't need to do exactly what you described at the beginning, just to type down the numbers. Brian does it for you. And the number three is really a little bit surprising, is the converting of PDF documents into Excel, Word, PowerPoint, I assume, or what we know from the feedback we receive. The consultants use it because sometimes you get the input from your customer in PDF and you need to calculate with the numbers in Excel, or you get the old presentation, which is just PDF and you needed PowerPoint, or you have a contract where it said, yeah, we just need to change here, there, the data, but it's only as PDF. And you just can ask Brian, hey, please make Excel out of it, and you get it. And the cool thing about this feature is, I believe, which also makes clear how Brian reduces the complexity, is that he chooses the best technology to do the job. Yeah, and he has his own access to all these databases and services. And if it comes, for example, to converting documents, he chooses, if it's a scanned document, where he uses the best optical character recognition tool. And if it's a natively created PDF, like you would create out of a presentation, he uses a different technology we found in New Zealand, where he reconstructs the code. Yeah, so he's reading the code and turning the code back. So what you did when you PDF your file, he does it backwards. And then the results are much better than when you would do it, the job optically. And this is also a huge advancement, where also we believe there is no better tool for translation conversions and so on.
Yeah, very cool. And I cannot only emphasize and highlight, how much time that saves in real life, because if you sit down and usually you get, partner feedback at 10 p.m. Okay, and then you have to translate, a couple of slides, or, get some company analysis, or, get some information from some old documents. Those are, such tools can save you hours, of very precious time late at night. Yes.
And what I think really cool about adoption of new technologies, it seemed to be a part of the job, right? So you have exciting things, you are changing the world and the future of companies, but you said, okay, it's also part of the job to do that kind of task. But it's cool to see that it's not necessarily the case if you know and have access to the best technologies out there. And I think therefore it's a huge and positive message that these technologies emerge and help you practically at work, not just in private life, like optimizing your pictures, but really helping you at work.
Yeah, totally agree. Because the thing is, and I talk about that on my channel, very often, that, the core of management consulting is actually, solving business problems. But many people relate, with consulting, building PowerPoint slides, or, working in Excel. And yes, of course, this is part of the job, but, the core business is to solve problems. So I think, any tool that makes, everything else but solving problems easier and faster, is a huge advancement. Cool. Then let's talk a little bit about the newest future. And Pavol introduced me to the future, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I was really amazed, what is possible. And the future is called automated content generation. So how does that work?
So maybe you will know the problem. I don't know if your listeners and viewers know it, but as a consultant, from time to time, you have to draft bullets, right? So you have a key topic of the slide. On the left, there is some picture visualization, whatever. On the right-hand side, you need to provide some aspects of the key statement or elaborate on a certain topic. And sometimes maybe this is a new industry or new topic. It's a little bit difficult to word some bullets. And this is the part where Brian helps now. And you just tell him the name of the slide, and he drafts qualitative bullets for you. That means you could say, hey, draft bullets for key challenges in automotive market in India. And he will draft you a set of 2 times 5 bullets. That means 10 bullets, including pictures, which you can use as a copy-paste slide into your presentation. Of course, adjust the look then accordingly. But he will create this text. And where is the text coming from? I think this is important to say, so that it's not some random text, right? And it's created synthetically exactly for your request, based on the knowledge of internet and millions of books. Okay, it's important to say, so it's just not from somewhere. It's kind of a consolidated knowledge of the internet you have at your fingertips. So it's within seconds. And if you don't like the bullets, ask again, and he'll propose an additional set of 10 bullets for this particular topic. And you can be sure no one will have such text, because every time it's different, yeah? And every time it's matching with your topic. So we are quite exciting about this skill. We believe that this is something really crazy because you know tools which probably translate and icons and templates and company information. But we see this as a big change and change challenge to explain that the current technology enables you to create qualitative content, and we will build more skills with this technology. But this is our first test of this kind of skill, how the people will perceive it. Somehow I have the feeling the people don't trust it when they read it, but when they have seen it, they find it incredible and helpful. So, and we will build more skills with this technology. The next one, maybe as a sneak preview, would be in June. That means this month already. We will train Brian to brainstorm with you. Okay, so you will be able to ask him, hey, Brian, give me ideas how to improve the customer retention in automotive industry, right? And you will get 10 ideas for this particular topic, again, based on the knowledge of the entire internet and millions of books. So ideas which you need to validate and to challenge with your critical thinking, understanding of the context. So again, without the smart human, it's probably worthless, but as an input within seconds is just awesome. We believe this is really changing the way consultants work.
Yeah, I mean, this was the initial question. And I mean, what is so exciting about that? I mean, this is just the beginning, right? I mean, you just started experiencing or experimenting with, you know, this feature. And I mean, you know, if you would connect, you know, more databases to it, you know, know-how systems, etc. I mean, very, very powerful. And, you know, we talked about how I you know, would change the life of management consultants. You know, and I think, you know, this would be probably one of the biggest, you know, game changers when you can actually, I mean, if you would have a digital assistant that gives you high quality content that you know, can use in your projects. And I mean, you said that, you know, the entire input from Brian is, you know, does make the most sense, you know, with a human being still being involved in it. And, you know, this is also how it works. You know, you receive the input, then you, of course, you have a look at it. It's never that you just copy paste it and then, you know, this is your final presentation. But it's a very, very good. Yes, and it's a very good first starting point, because if you work in consulting, you know, the first, you know, couple of the first pieces of information, you know, just the fundament of your argumentation, for example, this is always the hardest and the most time consuming to get, right? And this, you know, really, really makes it much faster to build your own content. So incredible. I'm really looking forward you know,
what the future will bring us. Yeah, and I mean, this dynamic perspective on what's available today and also future, I think that in 2 or 3 years we will just, I don't know if laugh, but smile maybe about the features we have built today. But otherwise I relativize. So I think you need to see it in relation. We started with building the translation skill in 2019, and it's in 2018, and nobody is, even now after 3 years, people are not smiling about the skill because it's very helpful. And I think it's still only a fraction of people who know that this is possible, right? So I don't know if but it's just 1%, 2% of people know what's currently possible. Even after 3 years, this skill is already available. Yeah. So but we never dreamed of creating qualitative content 3 years ago. Yeah? So and it's awesome that it's possible, what's possible today and will be tomorrow.
Cool. Looking at the time, so yeah, you know, automated content generation is certainly, you know, a huge topic. If you look a few years, you know, further ahead, so where could you see, you know, Brian in like 5 years? So what do you think is possible, or what would you, you know, wish for yourself and the company to be possible?
So for me and my company, the big ambition and dream is that every consultant is using Brian, right? So I believe already today he's a no-brainer, and in 1 or 2 years, it will be definitely the case. So I just want that Brian becomes kind of a think like you are using Excel, PowerPoint, of course you have Brian. Yeah, so that will become a fixed part of your work, that you really can focus on the exciting things and help your clients the most amazing, efficient, quick, and intelligent way. Yeah. Regarding the skills, I really don't know. We evaluated approximately 80 use cases which powers draft bullets. So there is a bunch of ideas we are having. But we'll see. We always react to the feedback from our customers, what they ask for, and sometimes or often the best ideas are coming from our users. So I really don't dare to say how many skills and how amazing they will be in 5 years, but I know we will be much, much further. This is the only one thing I know. It's kind of exciting journey ahead of us.
Yeah. And as an outsider, it's really, cool to see the development. I mean, I remember 2018 or something, when you first came up and tried to test the idea within our company. And, then a couple of years later, I mean, it's really powerful. And so this is probably what you call exponential development. So it's pretty cool. And I'm very excited myself. Cool. I want to talk about one more topic, and I mean the great thing is because on this channel we always talk about skills and what you need to succeed as a consultant. And many people ask me on this channel, is consulting a good place to start if you think about becoming an entrepreneur one day? And the great thing is that Pavol did exactly that. So he first was in consulting and then became an entrepreneur. So what I would like to ask is, so what is the main difference between, being a consultant and an entrepreneur? So this is maybe the first question. And the second, so was being a consultant a good preparation for being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start with the second question. Yeah, so I'm extremely thankful that I have 15 years of experience in consulting, and it's for multiple reasons, right? So the first one is, so if after you finish studies, you know some stuff, right? But you don't really have a real idea what's going on in the industry, right? So what the real problems of companies and business professionals are. And without this experience, I would never get the Brian idea. Yeah, I would be never able to manage this huge project of a startup, because as a founder, I see my digital baby and AskBrian really as a huge and probably the most challenging project of my life. And it's very much comparable to, and probably even more complex than big projects we did together with 10, 15 people mastering the biggest challenges of DAX companies, right? So, and it's really extremely broad. And with the project management skills and human interaction communication skills, how to structure ideas and problems and so on, was extremely helpful for me to move on with Brian, because it's partly a nightmare, right? To build a company from nothing to build something, right? And of course, additional two elements are maybe one, a little bit pragmatic one. As a consultant, you earn good money. As a startup founder, you will not, right? And especially at the beginning, you need some invest. And if you have worked some years in consulting, also your wife or friend will be more relaxed when you just decide to reduce your income by 70% or more. So there is this element, and related to money and the chances to survive is you build also an amazing network of people, of business professionals, which can help you with advice, with connections, and with money and with trust. So, and without this also Brian and AskBrian would not be possible. So my statement is, without my former experience at STEM Steward, also thanks to the startup program, there would not be Brian and AskBrian. No chance, no at all. Yeah. And what the job has in common, or what's different, of course, huge project, as I said, and the difference is I was overwhelmed in the beginning, because as a consultant you really focus on the content and the people and the specific problem of the customer. When you start to build a startup, you have 20 times more complexity in what you are doing. So there is not just the content, there is tax, legal, financing, accounting, HR, marketing, business development. What is CRM about? I didn't really have an idea why someone needs a CRM system. And there are and also funding. You hear and read a lot about funding of companies, but how exactly is doing? How exactly is it working? What is the shareholder agreement? What's a good deal? What's a bad deal? And so many topics and questions. And this this financial uncertainty. You have always just funds for a few months. You don't really know what will happen after this. And you are convincing people to join your journey, even though you don't know how it will look in a few months, right? So there is so much uncertainty, so many problems and challenges. And it's not just, even if some stories sound like super simple, it's everything is hard work. Or maybe with some exceptions, yeah. Sometimes you see within 1 year to raise a unicorn, I don't know. But usually it's so painful, it's so much. So if you are not sure what you should do, if you are impressed enough to follow your startup idea, don't do it. You need to be sure, yeah. And you need to be sure and fight for it for years. It's not a quick shot. Yeah, and I would, if you don't have this idea like Mark Zuckerberg had, yeah, so there was no alternative for him. Just go learn. Consulting is a great opportunity to do so. And when you have the idea and the people, you find the people you want to bring the idea forward, and your gut feeling says there is no alternative to it, then do it. But be sure there is no free lunch. Even no matter what you eat, it's a painful process, yeah, but also very rewarding, right? You are fulfilling your dream, but it's more pain than pleasure, yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, one funny thing in one of our previous conversations was that you told me was that, it's, if you work in consulting, then you have people, who take care of everything,
everything.
Because they organize everything, traveling is arranged, hotels and stuff like that, restaurants. And once you become a, entrepreneur, no one does anything for you.
Nobody does anything.
You have to do everything yourself.
Yeah, this is huge difference. So this is also, I would say, we should always say that the support in consultants, especially at Accenture, it was amazing. The people take care of everything, and you can really focus on the content of your projects. So this cannot be said enough how important a great support structure in consultancies is.
Yeah. Cool. Maybe one last question. After some experience that you obviously had, now in consulting and in entrepreneurship. So if you would have to give any advice, to your younger self, after your studies, starting your career, so what would be maybe one or two learnings that you would give or share, and that would have helped you back then?
I would say it's, so listen to your gut feeling, and I would say really shoot for the stars, right? So one of my learning is it's approximately the same difficult to start your career in a medium consultancy which is maybe not that good, or a top consulting house like I don't know, so you know the names, right?
Yeah.
And just shoot for the stars, and you really can hit them, right? So be ambitious, trust yourself, and but don't expect a kind of freelance stuff. So I believe that if you are ready to deliver and you want really to contribute and create value, then you will be rewarded for this. And I would really say, just also to my earlier myself, be proud of yourself and don't hide yourself. You can really reach amazing stuff if you are on it. Yeah? And even though if you meet some more senior people, maybe which sound like, oh, I have a big respect for them, it's all humans, and all the guys had huge troubles in their lives, right? So it's all humans, and you can probably do it if you can trust yourself. Yeah. So this would be kind of the advice, I'd say.
Beautiful. I think this is a very, very good closing. Thank you for your time, and maybe one last thing. So where can people learn more about you? Where can people learn more about AskBrian if they are interested now?
So I'm happy always to connect with exciting also new people. So we are working also with many student consultancies and many consultancies, of course. So you can always look me up on LinkedIn and just ping me and say, hey, Pavol, I just saw your amazing interview with Johannes. I'm happy to connect. I'm happy always to answer this kind of requests. And if you have then some questions, ideas, or any cooperation idea, just let me know. And about Brian and AskBrian, you learn the best at askbrian.ai. And we have, I believe, quite good organized website where you can learn how it works, what all the skills are. And you can also ask for a free trial or schedule a demo if you would like to find out what we can do maybe for your company or consultancy. So it's all up to you, and the hurdle is very low. Yeah? So you don't need to even install something after free trial. You just can get started with Brian immediately. Yeah. So I think the hurdle is very low, and I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. So we will link everything down in the description so that you can look it up. And with that being said, thank you, Pavol, for your time. I think this was, really insightful. All the learnings and the discussion about, AI, learning about AskBrian, but also, talking about entrepreneurship and consulting. So to all the viewers out there, if you liked it, if you have any questions, then just write them down in the comments. If you have questions to Pavol, you can also write them in the comments and I will forward them. And if you are interested in a second session, then let us know. Then we will certainly arrange that. And with that being said, Pavol, thank you for your time. And
thank you,
goodbye.